of the internet, right? And we're now starting to realize that it doesn't replace everything. It doesn't replace tactile connectivity. It doesn't replace local vibes or insider knowledge. And I think that there's a silver lining here that's happening. Just in our work in 79 West, we're seeing a real return to local, because as this like no trust thing becomes more valuable in the age of digital, AI, mass media, this proximity becomes a valuable asset. You know, I can call you, I can trust you, you can refer me to businesses, and that's how I see Triangle Media Partners, as more of a big network of partnerships that just happens to be something that is deliverable. Talk about Chatham and the Chatham growth and your advancement into the market.
That's so fun. So many of you will probably, oh my gosh, can I not? I know her so well, I can't come up with her last name. Heather, help me, people. Heather Johnson, thank you. So Heather Johnson actually walked into our office one day, and Trevor's here. I know, it's nice to see Trevor all grown up. She walked into our office one day. She had been publishing it in the form of something a little bit different, and asked us if we would be interested in taking it over, because she was a fan of Chapel Hill Magazine. And so we actually did do that. And it was a little early. It was 2000, I hope I get this right, 17. I was going to say it was either 17 or 18. And we saw all the promise in Chatham. And we already had business relationships in Chatham, because the only place they could really advertise was Chapel Hill Magazine. So we were already down here, and we were writing sections about Chatham in Chapel Hill Magazine. And oh my gosh, so my job, was really growth and planning and all. And we were living in Durham at the time. We now live in Chatham very happily since 2017. That's not a coincidence. We moved because we wanted to launch a magazine. And I thought it was like endless opportunity, and it still is endless opportunity. And I could see how much the need for a magazine here would be. We did a lot of interviews with businesses. We interviewed everyone we knew that lived in Chatham County. We did focus group, because it's a huge investment. Make no mistake, to launch a magazine is a six-figure commitment easily, well into 6
Let that be a word to competitors. Okay?
Well, that's true. If you're going to do it right, it really is. You have to hire people. You have to, you have to do all the things. The printing is crazy, but God, I'm so glad we did it, because it's so fulfilling. It really is, for me at this age. There's two things that you learn about the magazine business. It's all about people, really and truly, like you're saying, like relationships, tactile things, getting a group of people like this together. There's nothing, I always think about how happy it made my husband when we would be in any place when he'd see somebody reading the magazine, and he'd just sit and watch them read. And then he'd wait till they were done, and he would go over, what did you like? What did you not like? Tell me. And it's just fun to be able to have that opportunity to be so local, because both he and I were really more used to working for national magazines. I worked for a ton of large business-to-business magazines mostly, but Dan, worked for like all the ones you would know. He worked for People and Money and New York Times Magazine and all of that. So New York Times Magazine was fun. You get to see people reading that, but reading your own stuff, right, and looking at it. But I didn't really get that, because most of mine was national. Unless I was at a trade show, I got kudos. So this is totally fun, and I love when people walk up to you and say, "Hey, you haven't written about X. We love new story ideas. So please don't hesitate." And I don't know, it was just perfect. Obviously, we love working with. The people here are so nice. I think I was used to, and not to bash New York, because it was good to me, but you would go to meet somebody in New York, whether it was for editorial or advertising, and they'd be like, you got 13 minutes. you know, and you would have to like go in there so prepared. Mostly they wanted to talk about numbers. They wanted to, you know, I mean, how much is it? 6, 7, 6, 7, exactly. And you got out of there and you didn't know the person when you were done in 13 minutes. But here, you really get to know people. And my very first business meeting in this area in Chatham, it was with Mary, who has moved on from, my gosh, the wonderful gift shops in Chatham. I'm sorry, guys, I had a baby at 4:30. I'm not myself. I usually am so good with names and stuff. And she was just so helpful and so excited about helping us figure out what Chatham Magazine should be, right? Because that's one of the best, most important things when you launch a magazine is figuring out what it is and what it isn't. And she was great. But my very first appointment in North Carolina was with Roger Perry. And I don't know how many of you know who Roger Perry is, but he's a very large developer in Chapel Hill. He built Meadowmont and East 54, and he has a lot of other things that he's built. So I figured I was getting the 13 minutes, you know. And it ended up being a 75-minute conversation. His first question is, why are you doing this? And why did you come here? And how's it going? And he wanted to know how many kids I had. And I was like, wow, this is crazy that people really care about this. And it was so refreshing and wonderful. We are so lucky to live here. I mean, I truly feel that and work here. So, I don't know, is that your question?
Yeah, that was great. So, just to, because I want to give some time for Q&A. Talking about the future of Triangle Media Partners.
Sure.
And, you know, since starting a magazine company, the product line has expanded to digital services. And also, I want to give a shout out to Lucinda Poole if she's here. I don't know if she's here right now.
She had a dentist appointment this morning.
She's probably right now in a dentist chair selling the dentist and connecting the dentist with 3 or 4 other businesses while she's...
There was nothing wrong with her teeth. I think that's why I'm kidding. Clay is here, and Morgan is here, and I think that's it from our place, right?
But I think Triangle Media, they do a really good job. It's so hard to describe that it's more than just ad space. It's community involvement, connectivity, placing people with each other strategically, and then the digital services. So briefly before we get to Q&A, talk about your sort of suite of services and this sort of transition moment in the future of Triangle Media.
Sure. Okay. So very quickly, you know, I made no secret of my age. So 20 years ago, I had to make a decision. Am I staying in media or not? Because I could see the future, you know, of the digital business. Like we were going to have to learn a whole new business, and it was going to be less profitable. But I just had media in my blood. I just couldn't give it up. And so I very quickly realized I have got to learn digital. And that is no easy feat, folks, because it is an ongoing, for those of you that have anything to do with it. It's like an every day it changes. And I ended up, I mean, it was unbelievable. I ended up, one of my biggest products I ever ran was an e-commerce magazine, an e-commerce trade show. And boy, every day, I mean, we did news every day. It was unbelievable how much that changes, and it continues to change. So when we started this magazine, I mean, I had already had all those experiences, and I knew that we were going to have to do digital. I just didn't know when, and the time had to be right. And so we started it in 2018 or 19, a digital marketing agency alongside our publications. And it's been great. And the way that we started it is I sat down one day and I read all of the sales call reports from all the salespeople. And one of the biggest complaints was that people were getting charged an arm and a leg to buy digital marketing. They didn't know how to buy it, and they were buying it from people that didn't understand the local areas. So when it came to like geofencing and things like that, they didn't even know what neighborhoods. And so that was a very hefty investment, and continues to be. But I'm happy to say it's now very much an ongoing business. But it's not for sissies, for sure. But it helps everybody we're doing business with, and we actually have a ton of people who only do digital now with us that don't do magazines. We also have a magazine called Heart of NC Weddings. Let's and Triangle Weekender. So, it's, if we see an opportunity, we take it, but we're not gonna start something unless we see a real need. I mean, I think that's we're not looking to grow for the sake of growth, but if you see a need, you should try to fill it if that's what your responsibility to the community is.
Yeah, and I would also say, as an aside, that a lot of businesses, if you own a business here in Chatham, there's this assumption that the table's already set, that the customers already know who the businesses are, and that really now it's a market share grab of who's got more market share. But in reality, the real estate agents can tell you there's this crazy growth curve that's going to happen, and there is no product or company allegiance. And so I think that, like no trust partners like Triangle Media, they are a quick way to get in front of brand new eyeballs and start building a trust brand.
Right, and to have, one of our goals was to have a really big toolbox of things people could do, because there's different levels, obviously, for smaller companies and larger companies, of how much they can afford, et cetera. And I'm just going to share this. This was a takeaway that we came up with when Durham just went crazy growing. When markets grow fast, a lot more choices become available. I think we already see that in Chatham, and that's good. Like, we need that because our people that are living here need those things. But when people feel overwhelmed by choice, what do? So we actually looked into that when we were in Durham, and what we found is they go for the familiar. That's really it, and they go for what they trust. And so, we actually, I think in Durham, we did a crazy thing most media companies aren't doing. When we first started it, was we made the circulation bigger. And we mixed up our distribution plan because we wanted to make sure our magazine was very familiar. And now we have what I call guerrilla distribution. We really are good at making sure we get distribution about every way possible that we can. And I think it's the key. We started out as a paid subscription, if you can believe it, in Chapel Hill, and quickly realized the world was changing and content was going to be free, and that was just going to be the way it was. So we gave that up pretty quickly. We still have some paid subscriptions from people that want to make sure they get absolutely every single issue, because we do rotate circulation sometimes.
Well, I want to give an opportunity for Q&A, but please put your hands together for Shannon. Okay.